You've heard it before. Just be present. Just return to this moment. Come back to now. That's where life is happening, after all. That will cure you of your worries, of your anxieties, of your regret, of your remorse. Sure, there's truth to that. But why is it that some of us, some of the time, have such a difficult time being present in the first place? What gets in the way of our ability to return to this moment, to be fully awake and embodied in the reality of the current moment? We go into fantasies about the future, anxieties about what's to come, or we focus on regrets we have about the past, remorse we have related to the past, or maybe we think about the past with a lens of nostalgic yearning for times gone by, times that we can't have again. In either case, whether we're off in some fantasy, positive or negative about the future or about the past, we're clearly not fully awake to this moment of our lives. Our body is here, our feet are here in present reality, but our mind is somewhere different, or pretending to be somewhere different. So why is it that this occurs? I'm going to explore it from two lenses today: Western psychotherapy, in particular through the lens of ISTDP, that's intensive short-term dynamic psychotherapy. I think I got it right. It's a mouthful. And then through the lens of Buddhism, particularly Dzogchen. So beginning with the lens of ISTDP, they use something called the triangle of conflict. At the bottom of this triangle are our feelings. Up here on the right-hand side, maybe it's your left, it doesn't really matter, is anxiety, and then over here is defenses. And so what happens is we're going through life and something or somebody triggers a feeling in us. Now, some of our feelings we have no problem experiencing, no problem expressing, no problem being in touch with, but other feelings are very difficult. Historically, they were dangerous. Historically, when we expressed them, we were punished or we were withdrawn from. Effectively, we learned to stay away from those feelings. Let's use anger as an example. Something happens in our lives, triggering anger. We have trained ourselves to not be aware of our anger, but it did get triggered nonetheless. And as it bubbles up, we escape unconsciously into anxiety. Anxiety is a sign that something dangerous is emerging within us. Anxiety is not very comfortable, so we go from anxiety into defense. So now we're 2 layers removed from the feeling material of anger in this case. There's many defenses. In this video, I'm focusing on the defense of fantasy, the defense of projecting into the future or into the past. So if we find that we have this compulsive habit of getting caught up in anxieties or hopes even about the future in a way where we can't really return from it, or regrets and even positive memories about the past, but again, in a way where we can't really leave it, then we are using those unconsciously as defenses. We're using them to distract ourselves from feeling material that's arising in the present moment, in this case, anger. Now, if you, on occasion, plan for the future, that's very intelligent. If you reflect on the past, that can be quite enjoyable or quite informative. That's not compulsive. Therefore, it's not a defense. It's when there's this compulsive undertone that you can't seem to escape from. That's when it's being used as a defense. And so if you find that you're somebody who gets caught up in the future and the past quite frequently, then you might want to investigate what's underneath it in your body, the feeling material that's just gotten stirred up that you're trying to get away from. You might start by returning to your anxiety. Probably there's some anxiety, but you don't want to stop there. Look underneath the anxiety for the feeling triggered in you that is dangerous, that is disturbing, that you have been trained to get away from, and see if you can begin to tolerate the lived experience in the present moment of that emotion, of that feeling. That will free you from the need to use the defense. It will allow you to return to the present moment. That is the Western therapeutic approach. I now want to speak briefly about the Buddhist or the Dzogchen approach because that's what I'm interested in. The Dzogchen approach says that these ideas of past, future, and even present are concepts. They're not actually real. Our mind is bringing these conceptual layers to the reality of the now, the ever arising now, the now that is free of concept, that's free of label. But to try to get some sort of grasp on it, some sort of orientation, we begin to name things, to conceptualize, to construct. All of that might be useful in some practical senses as we move through the world, but when we begin to take them very seriously, then we're going to be, from the Dzogchen perspective, no longer in contact with the immediate arising, the immediate reality of our lived experiencing. So Dzogchen might adopt common vernacular that we started this video with, just be present. But it's going to also go further than that, because it's going to recognize that present, to be the concept of present itself, is a concept. We don't want to get caught up in the concept. We want to move beyond it, move beneath it, see through it. And so Dzogchen encourages us to relax fully, to be fully open to the immediacy of the moment in which our life is always occurring, the immediacy of the always available now. I know now is another concept perhaps and synonym with present, but we have to use language to talk about these ideas that really go beyond language. So Dzogchen sees the inherent lack of substance, of self-existence, of all of these concepts. It sees these concepts as needing one another in order to exist. They're not actually there in an absolute sense. They're there in a relative sense. And what Dzogchen encourages us to do is to open fully to the immediacy of our lived experience, free of conceptual elaboration, that is where true freedom is going to be found. Of course, this is a video for another day, but that also means seeing through the insubstantiality, the emptiness of our emotional experiencing as well, the emptiness of our anger. Yes, it's arising, but from this lens, there's no inherent reality, inherent substance to it or to us, the entity in which the emotional experience is arising. Now, I talk about both of these, the Western therapeutic approach and this Eastern Dzogchen approach, because both of them are trying to help us have a greater experience of freedom moment after moment after moment. Freedom, openness, authenticity, a life of presence as opposed to a life of defense. For Dzogchen, the ultimate move is to open to all that is arising and to not take our commentary about what is arising too seriously. From the Western approach, the move is to see through our defenses, see through the strategies that we unconsciously employ to get away from disturbing emotional material. And as we're able to overcome our defenses, we can be closer to reality, closer to what's arising, more in contact with the immediacy of our experiencing. In the Western approach, we still take that experiencing quite literally and quite seriously. That's okay. It's still more free. We're still going to be more free, more open, and more authentic than we are if we're living a life that is run by our defenses, run by our neuroses. So those are two paths via which you can experience more wakefulness, more presence, more aliveness, more immediacy, more authenticity in your life. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do like and subscribe for future content, and I will see you next time.